Hey guys, and welcome to my 19th daily blog. Welcome back to the lovely people that watch this, and welcome to anyone new to the channel or page wherever you're watching. To the new people, I'll quickly go through who I am and what I do. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm 23 years old, and what I do, I create my learning from each day as an entrepreneur into knowledge that you'll gain value from. So that's what I do, is I create my learning from each day into videos that you can gain value from. So it's all sorts of interesting stuff that goes through my entrepreneurial journey, the grind, as Gary Vee always hammers on. So there's interesting stuff I've done, creating to-do lists, how to create effective to-do lists, how to build confidence, how to deal with fear in business, and this one, a very interesting one, how to deal with distractions in business. Now, this is going to flare off into lots of videos because it's a very interesting one, because time management comes out of this, procrastination, you must know that word, that's a horrible word. But yeah, this is what it's going to be about. Daily Blog 19, how to deal with distractions in business. This is key to know, guys, so I'll see you in a minute and we'll get to it. Welcome back, guys. So, Daily Blog 19, how to deal with distractions in business. Like I said, I will do a few videos on this because there's so many layers to this, especially the time management aspect of making sure that you're being efficient with your time, each day being productive. So I'll do a productivity video. I'm sure I'll do one on procrastination, but I'm just going to lightly touch sort of those points and then go into my 6 tips on how to deal with distractions in business, which can also be implemented in life as well, so business and life, but it's more directed how to dealing with distractions in business. So we all know procrastination, it's our worst enemy. Everyone has to fight it. No matter how efficient you become, procrastination creeps up. It loves to creep up. I'm affected by it, you're affected by it. It's pretty much a cast iron fact that we're all affected by it. It's a horrible thing, it really is. And that can be derived from distractions, because yes, you can get distracted by general things, but if you're putting something off, your brain will automatically start distracting you. You'll automatically go to different tasks. You'll automatically look at other things, go onto a YouTube video. You actually induce yourself to distract yourself just so you don't have to do certain tasks. So that's why it's so tightly knit with procrastination, and why I'll go deeper into that in another video. So it really is interesting, this subject, and like always, I like to give a bit of background to the video before going ahead. So why am I doing this video? Like I said, it's for my daily learnings. I'm distracted every day. There's 100 distractions every day, probably more, and it's just become a real issue. There's good days and there's bad days. Everyone has good days and bad days, and there's some days where I just find distractions have just destroyed the productivity of the day, and I end up with lots of stuff on my list still, and I see it's just a really big problem, something I'm still improving on, but I'm going to give you my 6 killer tips on it. But I wanted to go through it because it's definitely a current problem with me, and I'm definitely improving upon it. But I know if I'm being truthful to myself, which you should always be brutally truthful, and that's why it's great to have mentors, then I know this is an issue. So I want to discuss this a little further. So I read an interesting article by Entrepreneur. Great, they're literally called Entrepreneur. They put out great blog posts, articles, videos. Go to it. Sign up to the email subscription. I'd really advise it. It's really some interesting content they produce. And there's an article there called 5 Big Distractions That Sabotage Your Entrepreneurial Success. I'll put the source down in the description so you can just go look at it then, but I'll quickly touch on the 5 points they do. And the reason I'm just going to touch on the 5 points so you get a wide understanding of the real issue of distractions in business, and then I'm going to go into my 6 tips of how to deal with distractions. So the 5 big distractions that entrepreneurs mention as sabotaging your entrepreneurial success is, number 1, listening to too many people. Now I think that's a fascinating one, because so many people encourage you to get so many mentors. I'm an advocate for getting at least one mentor. I think having a few mentors is very good, providing this is where the thing is, guys, is that you have to get mentors that you aspire to be. There's no point getting a mentor in another industry and with other values, with other thoughts. If you don't align, if your thoughts and vision does not align with your mentor, then they're not the right mentor for you. I appreciate they're going to have wisdom and knowledge. They might be good in starting up businesses, and they can definitely bring you some knowledge and wisdom. I'm not denying that. But as a whole, they're not going to be a very efficient mentor compared to if you were to get a mentor that you looked at them and I'd be like, I aspire to be you. That is the best mentor, because you just have to copy them. That's as easy as it is. You just have to copy them. So it's an interesting one listening to too many people. I think it really comes down to who you're hanging around with, who you're listening to. So just make sure that you're listening to the correct people. I wasn't going to discuss this too deep, but it's quite interesting, so I'm going to discuss these 5 points before we get into my tips. Number 2, now this one kind of hit me quite hard. I every now and then when I read a blog or an article, it just, when you just get that hit, that light bulb moment, or that bit of like, ooh, that's good. I get it when I listen to Les Brown with his motivational talks. He'll just say one line, and you just be like, that is the line. That is just so fascinating. This one hit me like that, and I had to sit back and think. Mistaking busyness for productivity. Mistaking busyness for productivity. I think that is a fascinating one, and that scared me a little bit. Yeah, that's the scary one, because it's kind of hard to know, isn't it? Because you can be busy. I'm busy every day, but there's some days where I've been busy all day, but I've not really got anything done. You can find that social media can be a bit of a drag and a lot of time consuming, but you don't necessarily get anything done, because being on social media, you can easily be led around social media without doing anything. So this one really did hit home. So maybe you should have a think about that and see if that one hits home with you. I think that's probably one of the biggies out of these 5. Number three was procrastinating on critical tasks, which I'm going to touch on in my tips in a minute. They said this great quote. This made me chuckle. It said, I'll procrastinate tomorrow, which is obviously embodies the whole definition of procrastination. I hate that word. I wish we just took procrastination out of our lives. It makes me wriggle when I think of that word, because it's just annoying, because it just destroys our productivity. Anyway, number 4, allowing politics to override logical decision making. And number 5, saying yes to everything. Another very interesting one, saying yes to everything, because especially when you're starting up, you want to build a lot of relationships. It's great to build in a network, and saying yes to a lot of things it's like it said there, it's not great. Yes, it's good in respect of you might be building relationships, but if they have no benefit to you whatsoever, what's the point? I appreciate, but they might help me later down the line. And if it's someone big in your industry, for sure, that's a great shout. Maybe they're not helpful to you now, but maybe they're helpful to you in 3 years' time. Fantastic. But if they have no correlation to anything you have your vision for yourself and your business for, then, I mean, what's the point? You're not gaining anything. You've got to understand what are you gaining from this. For sure, you've got to lead with value, and how can I help you before they can help me? But you have to understand, how can they help me? If they can't, then there's just really no point. There's no point in regards to pushing yourself to successes. But then again, we can always do a nice deed now and again. That's never a bad thing, is it? So they're the 5 points, the 5 big distractions that sabotage your entrepreneur's success. That was an article called from the Entrepreneur article. I'll put the source down in the description. You should for sure go look at that. I just wanted to discuss that just so it kind of opened your mind to the seriousness of distractions and the seriousness of how they can, like they said, how they can sabotage your success. So I really just wanted to hone down on that prior to going through my 6 tips of dealing with these distractions. So let's get into it. So number one, complete the hardest tasks at the start of your day. Complete the hardest task at the start of your day. This is a cast iron one. They mentioned it in the top 5 in the Entrepreneur article. It's a simple one. Make your hardest task at the start of the day. there's so many bonuses to this. I'll give you a few. Well, one, you have the most energy in the morning. I mean, maybe not in the first 5 minutes of the morning, but once you've gone through your morning routine, you've woken up a bit after half an hour or an hour, whatever it is, you've got your most energy. Number two, it's such a great sense of achievement. You know how great it feels when you finish that task that's just been grinding at you, that you've just been putting off, procrastinating, putting off, because it's just so frustrating. We all know those tasks. And just completing it in the first few hours of your day, it's like, if you complete the hardest task of the day first, think about how good you feel. Nothing but easier tasks are going to come from now. So it's so many bonuses. It makes you feel good. It's a bit of euphoria. You feel good. You've overcome the hardest task. The rest of the day it's easier. A sense of achievement, so positive thoughts, positive induce into your brain. So it's nothing but good. So really, you should really be pushing for that, is complete the hardest task at the start of your day. And I would very recommend to go to which video wasn't it? Yeah, Facebook Live 3, and that was to do with how to create a to-do list that works. Now, why that ties in so much with that is that through my top tips of creating a to-do list that works, it will show you where to recognize your hardest tasks, because sometimes we procrastinate them so much we don't actually realize they're the hard tasks. We just procrastinate them, try to ignore them, and my to-do list will show you how you can recognize which task you're procrastinating from. So let's move on to number 2. Break down big tasks into smaller bites. This is a really interesting. This can sound, again, this might sound really simple, but this is something that clicked in. Like, yes, I've known it and people have told me it, but this actually clicked. I think it was 2 weeks ago, like I mentioned. It was probably in the to-do list video. It just basically, because I had a task that was on my to-do list and it just kept on monkey jumping from day to day to day, and that's my saying. It basically, that means it just kept on getting pushed to the next day. And then I finally had a light bulb moment. I can't remember how I had it, but I finally had a light bulb moment, and all I did, because at the moment what it said was just social media scheduling, but the social media scheduling, that was like 10 different tasks. So every time I looked at it, I was just like, I can't even begin to think starting that. So the second I broke it down, the second when I went, I need to break this down, I was completing stuff. And again, the bonuses from this was I could tick them off, make them green. That was a sense of achievement, made me really feel good. It's like, yes, I've started this hard task. It's a task that's just been on me for weeks, and I'm moving forward with it. And that's all I've done, is just looked at it for 5 minutes and just broken it down into like 5 or 6 tasks. That's all I've done, and I think I completed half of them that day, and I was so happy. So I know it can sound simple, but you'd be surprised of how you may forget with that. So if it's a bigger task, so it can be broken down, just break it down into smaller bits, because it's going to make it easier for you, and the sense of achievement, achieving these little bits, is always a nice little feeling and keeps you going through the day. So this is another one. So we've obviously gone down, break down the big tasks in smaller bites, because obviously as you'll find, you'll distract them if you don't. That's how it ties into distraction. Just so if it wasn't clear, that I just wanted to make that clear, that's where the distraction part will come into it. Number 3 was discipline. This is the funny one. Discipline yourself with forfeits. Now this is a bit of a out of the box thinking one. This was one that was given to me by my friend Ken. Was it Ken? That wasn't his name. I completely made that name up. What was his name? Sorry, I can't remember his name. But lovely lad. I don't know where the name Ken came from. I don't even know. Okay. Right, anyway. Yeah, so this came from him. He said what he does is whenever he starts getting distracted and he realizes it, he gets down, does 20 press-ups. Okay? So he gets down, does 20 press-ups, and then that it trains his brain, right, you're back onto the ball. Because sometimes we don't realize when we're being distracted, especially if we engulf ourselves into YouTube. That's just, don't even get into that. That's some absolute mind fuck in itself. But yeah, he disciplines himself by, he gets down, does 20 press-ups, gets down, and sometimes he's doing 100 press-ups in the day. Obviously this is going to be knackered, it's going to be annoying, and it just trains him to stop being distracted. So that's just a funny one he does. I've heard of another interesting one where the second they're away from work and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they set a timer on, so the time's going, so it kind of irritates you that the time's going, and at the end of the day you'll see how long you've actually not being efficient for, and that's really interesting to know, and you can obviously then fight to improve it. Another one, sort of maybe just, I mean, you have to be really disciplined to actually keep to this, but maybe say no TV. Again, this is really down to the strength of you disciplining yourself, because you're not going to have someone stopping you. So it does come down to your own discipline on that one. So it's an interesting one. It's out of box, but you'll find something that works for you. Maybe one of them do. Maybe you'll find something else. Find something that you really love and take it away and see what happens. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Number 4. Keep checking back to your to-do list. Simple one. Keep checking back to your to-do list. So when you're doing something, especially again relating it to social media, because I'm on social media a lot, because obviously that's what I do digital marketing. A huge part of that is to do social media marketing. So being on social media, scheduling content and so forth, and looking up trends and see what's going on in the social media world, it's very difficult to stay on task, because I can very easy just deviate. For instance, Twitter has 1,000 tweets every second. Like, that blew my mind. I found that out today. That's interesting. That blew my mind. So think about how easily distracted I can be on Twitter. Or any other social media platform. So keep checking back to your to-do list. Maybe, I don't know, every half an hour, or not every 5 minutes, because it'd just be a bit silly, but maybe every half an hour, every hour, just until you're trained to just check back, go, yep, that's what I'm supposed to. It's so easy. We all know it's so easy to veer off task on work. It's so easy to do. So that's a really important one as well. Number 5, this is an interesting one that I learned. Number 5, work in different places. Now, this might sound a bit funny, especially if you go to work and obviously you've got your office space. There might not be much much freedom with it, but I'm sure they're not going to argue with you if you say, "Oh, can I go work in this other part of the office or whatever?" I'm sure if you're doing the work, I'm sure they're not going to be too against it. But this is a huge one. Working remotely, this is a huge one, especially if you work remotely. Definitely, this is huge. I find that. So I guess I have my desk. I have my desk and I work at that. But I find when I work in it every day, I start to gain bad habits. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I can't explain why. But maybe I'll find out one day. But I start to gain bad habits and I start to be less efficient when I work in one place. But then when I move to another place, just so every few weeks I'll just move and work somewhere else in the house, or I may go out. There's a great place I love working in Leeds. It's called the Tetley. I'm always so efficient. I went there today. I'm always so efficient when I work there. It's really chill, nice little cafe. So even going out into cafes, into quiet bars or co-working spaces, any sort of space, just be a bit different. It just allows you to be free, allows you to be a bit more creative, and it just, I don't know, it just works for me. It might not work for you, but I believe it will. Give it a go and just see, especially if you work from home. It's not difficult to just pick up your laptop and just go to another room, just try that room for a few days, see if it changes. I found I can't really explain the science behind it, but it really works for me. So it's an interesting one. Go check it out. Finally, number 6. Again, this is a funny one. This is useful apps and tools. Really interesting stuff. Useful apps and tools. Some are quite funny though. So there's 3. So one is for your laptop computer. It's called Cold Turkey. This is a great tool, like a brilliant tool. It's my favorite tool on procrastination for my laptop. What you can do on this is it's so easy. You literally just download it. It's all safe, nothing wrong, all free. And all you do is you can drop the website into it that you want to get away from. Make sure you're not being distracted from. And for instance, for me, YouTube, that is always a huge distraction. So I drop YouTube in it, and then you can set times of the day, and you can schedule it for when you want it to block that website. So no matter what and it's really legit, you can't get it right. There's I think there is a way to get around it, but you'd have to search it up and you'd have to take it. I once tried it and I couldn't do it. So That's why it's so great, because I would sometimes, when I just like, oh, I'm getting in YouTube quick, and I'll just go do it, and I'll be angry for 5 minutes. I'll be like, oh no, I'm happy now, because I'm away. I can't, like, you literally cannot get onto that website. It'll be completely cut off. It just stops. I don't know what it does, but it just completely stops. It's all safe, and it's really, really useful, and you can set any times on it. So I would really recommend that. That was Cold Turkey, a really cool little app you can use on your laptop. Now the other two are 2 apps on your phone. It's for iOS for Apple. I only have an Apple phone. I'm not sure for Android. I'm sure you'll be able to find similar ones for Android there. So for iOS, there's one called Flipped. So Flipped, Flipd. That's a really interesting one. It's quite a strict one, so you might want to be careful with it, but what I mean by strict is what it does is you can again set a timer on it, and it will take all your apps, or obviously it has to keep the base apps, the apps that the phone comes with. It can't take them away, but all your bought apps, any apps that did not come with the phone, it will take them away. And nothing happens to them, no data's lost, nothing like that. But what it does is it just takes them away for that time, and you can't get them back. Again, I'm sure there's a way around, but you'd have to search it up. So it's I couldn't try that. So that's a really useful one. The only annoying thing with it is that if you have all your apps in places, like on me, I have like 5 pages of apps, and I have them in certain categories, like my social media page and my friends page and whatever. What it does when it lays them back, they're all mixed up. That's kind of annoying. If you don't have many apps, it depends if that annoys you, but it is really useful for when you're on your phone. Is Flipped. It will, for whatever time you set, it will take away all the apps except for the apps that came with the phone. So it's really interesting. Another one, which isn't all about the strict and taking stuff away, this is an interesting one that can work with, which point was it now? It would work with, number 4. The number 4 one that I mentioned, keep checking back to your to-do list. So this is called Mynah, Mynah, Mynah. I think that's how you say it. And what this is paid. It's like 50p or something. But why I got this, what it is that you can set it so it just makes a noise every whatever time you set. I set it for half an hour, and it's like a gong. So every half an hour it's a gong. And what that tells me, because I know what that tells, I've programmed myself to tell me what that tells me. What that tells me is say, oh, are you on track? So that's what it does. So it'll go off every half an hour when I go gong. Obviously you can set it for an hour if that's irritating. There's a few different chimes you can put on. And what that tells me is that's telling me, goes, oi, are you on track? Are you on the right task? I think that's great. So it's really cool. So every time it goes off, I go, am I doing the right thing? Go to my to-do list. Yeah, I'm doing the right thing. And it's really good. And there's been many times where it's gone gong, and I've gone, oh no, I'm on something I'm not supposed to be on. I fell into the YouTube again. Oh, YouTube, get out of my life. Okay. Anyway, I love YouTube, but not when you get stuck on all these videos. They're just so good at giving you more and more videos. Oh, it's a funny platform. Anyway, I hope you gain value from those 6 points. I'll quickly go through them again. Number 1, complete the hardest tasks at the start of your day. Number 2, break down bigger tasks into smaller bites. Number 3, discipline yourself with forfeits. That was the out of the box thinking one. Number 4, keep checking back to your to-do list. Number 5, work in different places. And number 6 is use useful apps and tools, and the 3 that I mentioned. I'll put the 3 that I mentioned down in the descriptions as well, so you got all the names and stuff, and you can search them up. So that'll be all good. What I will say is, in complement to this video, is I would urge you to go watch 2 other videos, because they do I'm not trying to just bait you to another video. Like, they do integrate so strongly of this. Like I said at the start of the video, there's a lot of layers to this video. Like, I'm going to bring up procrastination, time management, and other aspects, and these 2 really link to it. So one was the Facebook Live 2, which was the importance of a good morning routine, going through my 10 tips through a morning routine. That's really important with creating good habits and making sure you're really switched on for the day, and it'll make sure that you get less distracted in business and in life. And the other one was Facebook Live 3, which I've already mentioned, and that's how to create a to-do list that actually works. We all might know how to create a to-do list, but do you know how to create one that actually works? I think a lot of us don't. So it's really interesting, and it integrates, really does help with the whole distraction aspects. And like I said, this is also strong with life as well. This can all be applied to life as well. And you'll find when it works for your business, when it works for your work, that you will then implement it into life as well. And I like to give a takeaway to the video. And my takeaway is what all 6 points I've mentioned, it all comes down to is creating good habits. So I'll say something that I written down is everything in life is run by habits / the norm. Everything is run by habits / the norm. Create good habits and break bad habits. That is what you need to do with distractions, is you just need to train your brain to not deviate off task and train yourself into good habits, breaking bad habits and replacing them with good habits. And through doing these things, as well as the other videos, it will train your brain and help you create habits that will allow you not to be distracted by things around you, by business, by life, and things that are deviating you from your success and your vision in life. So that's my takeaway as a whole. It's all about creating good habits that work for you and work for your life and work to push you to the successes you deserve. So I hope you enjoyed that and gained some serious value from it. As always, it was a pleasure. One last point, this isn't to do with the video. A really interesting thing, I nailed another interview today. Fuck yeah. Really happy I nailed one today. Really interesting one. I'm gonna drop it on Saturday. Like I said, I'm gonna do a minimum of 2 a month, so that's my 2 for the month. However, like I said, also I'm gonna push for more. So every time we're going for an event, I'm hunting for someone. Obviously, I want to make sure they have high credibility and of excellence. So I'm not just gonna get anyone from the street. It's gonna be someone with great credibility. I'll give you a little clue to what it's about or who it is. Google. I'll leave you that. It's an interesting, like I said, it's a really interesting one. Anyway, as always, guys, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope you gain value. Any questions, comments, feedback, or as always, just comment them below or DM me, whatever you prefer. And please follow me on all social media. YouTube is @ScottMears. Twitter is @ScottMears_, and Facebook is @ScottMearsEntrepreneur. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, guys. Bye.